Okay, now I'm going to show you how to cut out the aprons, the full aprons. And what I do is take this whole thing, and what you want to do is make sure it's really squared up, because sometimes it's not. And you need the edges to be square or your apron's going to be wonky. And we don't want wonky aprons. So I'm just going to square it up to here, and I'm going to cut this off right there. And you can figure out how to use your roller if you want, but this is what I'm going to do. If I did it so that the folded side was on top, I wouldn't be cutting as much off, but oh well. Next time. So is this a full yard? Yeah. This one's about 37 inches. You know, we always give you a little extra because I hate it when it's too small. So these things are great for tying up packages. They make kind of a pretty ribbon at the holidays or anytime. It makes a nice little ribbon. Okay, that's just a side note. So then what you want to do is get this part straight and then make sure this part is squared up without cutting too much off. Let's see. I'm going to go up here because I can't see those little side things. Okay, so square this up. Okay, we're going to square this up. And this has a new blade. Yes. I think you can put these in foil, cut foil. I've seen people do that. Is that a thing? Let's see. So 40 to 36. I have a little bit extra, so I'm going to give it an extra inch. My products. Okay. So that's 1 inch. And this is going to go right here. That's the size of the folder that I have. I'm going to change that blade, but for right now, I'm going to try this. Here's my other apron. I can measure this top part here needs to be, this one is about 8.5 inches, and that seems to be a good size for most people. You can make it wider if you want. But so what I need is for this top of this pattern piece to be over 4.25. There is 4.25, so I'm going to do a little notch right there. Oh, these scissors won't cut that. So there's a little notch. Then this, now we know where to put this. So this has some extra over here because the way I cut it, it used a little more. That doesn't matter. That's perfectly fine. So what you want to do is make sure that you start here and end up, this is square to the apron, but you want to just keep going and go all the way to the edge. And this gives you, this has been tested on a lot of people, and it seems to be a pretty good swoop. And if I could find my chalk, I'd put a chalk line, but I can't, so I'll just start cutting. Because that's kind of how I roll. Because good enough is good enough. It doesn't have to be absolutely exact to anything. That gives you a guideline for a really good swoop. Okay, now we've got that done, and I'll put a dimension on here to tell you the yay by yo. Okay, so then that's ready. Then what we're going to do is we're going to cut the pocket off the bottom. And the pocket off the bottom, it needs to be 8 inches. Make sure it's square. That's the only thing. If it's a little bit off, you know, up and down, it's fine. But you want it square because then it won't be wonky. This is the pocket. And what I should have done is what the pattern shows, which is to notch it up 4 inches. So I'll do that now. So you go up 4 inches from the bottom. Actually, it's going to be 4.5 because I'm going to put a hem on here. 4.5 from the unfinished edge. So there's my notch. And that's where I'm going to sew the bottom of this pocket after we put on the webbing. I mean the bias tape. So the bias tape goes across the top of this. Okay, so now I have, this is the edge of the pocket. This pocket is long. I'm sewing the top edge of the pocket. I'm sewing the binding tape over the top edge of the pocket. There we go. Whoa, that's my cat having a little fit, having a little hiking magic. Okay, so I don't always use pins, but I think it's just as easy to just fold it as you go. Okay. And kind of check the back to see if you're catching both edges of the bias tape. You want this to go under and this to go over, and I just keep readjusting it as I sew. There. Now I'm making it stretch a tiny bit, but basically not be too stretchy. You can, when you sew bias tape, really yank on it, and then you can get it to gather, because this stuff, you know, that's the point of the bias. It's very stretchy. Okay, that's the end. So I'll just lift up my needle and then chop this off. We need an 8-inch piece of bias tape. What do we call this? This is the apron strings, basically. And so I'm going to make 8 inches, 8 or 10 inches, it'll be a little bit of just plain string. And then I'm going to do 30 inches of, the cat doesn't want me to have it. I think the cat has to go outside. Okay. That's enough. So this is for the towel loop, if you want to do that. You don't have to, but if you want to, that's what it's for. And then I'm going to measure 30 inches of binding, and then I'll put a pin at 30 inches because that's where I'll stop. And that's where we're going to start putting do the armhole of the apron. That's the bottom of the armhole of the apron. So, do-de-do. You want to just be as even as possible on this edge. But done is better. then perfect. Yeah. Hey, I don't want to sew that paw. There we go. Now I'll put the pocket on next. Okay, I've got it pinned on so that this is one pocket and this is the other pocket, and I've got it marked with a line of chalk. And what I'm going to do is start at the right corner and stitch it on. Stitch the pot. First I'm going to do the outsides and then I'll do the pocket divisions. Okay? Oh, kitty. What'd you do? He's causing trouble. Okay, you go down to the bottom. You leave the needle in, turn the corner, pivot the fabric around the needle, and then, here he comes. And then you sew along the bottom, the whole bottom. I don't fold it under, or, this is a raw edge, doesn't matter. It's not going to unravel. Nobody's ever going to notice. You can pin it under and stitch it down if it makes you happy, but I don't care. I don't care. Oh, now I have stitched it through. This is the front of the apron. I have to take it out. Ha! Such is the life of a sewist. So I have some of it that got stitched on. That's okay. I will just take it off now. All the way back to there. So you remove a few of the stitches on the back side and then just pull the front off and pick out these stray marks. So now on the front, on the top of the apron, you're going to have a few little holes in your fabric. So what I recommend is, while you can even see where they are, they're actually pretty hard to see. But see, they're tiny holes. And you can kind of just run over them with your fingers and press them out, hand press them out. I wonder if I ironed them, if they would heal better. They might, a little bit. But, they're barely there. If I look real hard, I could see them. But it's never going to bother me again. So now we'll keep going, sewing on the pocket. So we're at the bottom of the pocket, and I'm going to go back and forth. And I'm just running the edge along the edge of my presser foot. So that's how I know how straight it is. That's how I keep it straight. I'm just running along the edge of the presser foot. I'm taking out that pin. I'm going to kind of heal up those little holes and go all the way down this pocket. Whoops, I don't want to fold anything under. Get it stitched on again. And then I get to the edge and I put the needle down. I lift up the presser foot. I take out the last pin. and I pivot to do the second side. This is the, maybe this is the right side. I don't know. If you look at it, I go down the outside. That's all. Go down one side along the bottom and then up the other side. Then I get to the top of the pocket. I stitch back and forth to make sure everything's caught. I pull it out, snip it off, and now I'm going to do the first pocket, which is 8 inches over, and I'm going to put our little, fold the end of the apron string over, and measure down a couple inches, inch and a half. That's where that's going to go. So I'll put a pin there. Yes, you can pin through everything, all the layers. I have a folded binding. Oops. Oh, yeah. So I'm starting at the bottom. I go back and forth, follow my line all the way up, take this pin out, hold it so that that little tab is folded over here. This is the binding. And I'm going to just, when I get there, what? Oh, okay, that's enough. You're crazy. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go back and forth here. Oh, I didn't close the door. I thought you'd stay outside, kitty. And that's one pocket done. Now I'm going to measure over. I actually don't measure. I just call it, oops, good enough. And I go over here and stitch down this edge. So now it's caught. The apron string, this towel loop is caught on both sides. I cut off the end, just snip it off, and move on to the middle pocket. I like these pockets separated into threes because otherwise it'll droop down. You know, it's too much. It's too big to go all the way across the front of you. And you can make as many pockets as you want. If you want to put certain things in your pockets, if you need to have it for your gardening and you want a separate pocket for your phone and your seed packets and, you know, whatever else, then, you know, make them however you want. But I find this is pretty good. Okay, go back and forth at the top. And now the pocket step is done. Now that the pocket step is done, you want to hem all 4 edges. The bottom, make sure these are all cut off. Yeah. Okay. The bottom, the sides, and then this little top bit right here at the top of the apron. Okay. So I'll start with that one. I'll show you. You can just plain old fold it over once. You just want to make a small hem in it, but since it won't unravel, you don't have to be too particular. So I'm going to do the top like that, and then I'll show you how to do the sides with a double fold. Okay, this is the neckline. We're calling it necklines and armholes. There we go. And then at the edge, the only tricky part is that you want this whole, this is the assembly that is the pocket, and then we have the edge of the binding in here as well. And you want that to get caught, folded under. We're folding that under twice, and you don't want any movement in this pocket. You know what I mean? Because you have a few layers here. I'll do these with clips since it's the corner, it's the edge. This is one time when I do use clips or pins, but otherwise, you know, I pretty much just hold it and make it do what I want. But when you have bunching, you could get bunching with the pocket and uneven bits that you have to pull out and redo. We don't want that. We only want to do it once. So you go down, you start at the, I'm calling this the right edge because it's the edge that will be on my right side as I'm wearing it. Okay? So this goes down. Woo, I did a bobbin. Okay, my machine winds bobbins as I go. Isn't that cool? Ooh, I want to show you guys, there's a video of why bobbins, I finally understand why bobbin thread can't come off a spool like the other thread. Because it actually, the top thread has to loop around the end of the bobbin to tie it down. It's called a lock stitch. Okay, see that? I went over that really heavy bump. And it's just fine. You need a machine that can handle multiple layers. I find one of my favorite machines is the Singer Heavy Duty. I know people, there's a Juki that is semi-industrial, and I think that a lot of people are liking that. There we go. I went over the other bump, and now it's smooth sailing. So I just fold that under. And it's kind of nice. I have the edge of the stitching where I stitch the edge of the pocket down. And now we can speed this up as I go all the way around the bottom of the apron. The only tricky bit is when you get to the corner, you want to stop in front of where I'm not sewing all the way to the corner. I'm stopping well in front of it, so I have another 1.5 inches, and I'm going to fold this up in 2 folds. And then I'm going to stitch there. Maybe I can move you over. Okay, there. So I'm folding it down. So this is another bit where it's quite a few layers. So I'm stitching right into that corner, the inside corner of these 2 folded layers where they overlap at the corner. See, those 2 are going to go there. And then I pull up the zipper foot. I pivot on the machine. I pivot the fabric in front of me. So now it's lined up with the bottom seam. And I do 1 little back tack. Okay, a few little back tack stitches so that the edge, the corner is fully stitched on. And now I'm going along the bottom. See how that makes a really nice little corner. See that? Okay. Now I just continue along the edge. And you can pin or clip or whatever you got to do to make it work. So I'm going down to the other bottom edge. I think I will clip that one. Because once you fold it, you don't want to have to keep refolding. There. Now that right there, that is a nice hem. Okay. And if you want to just do these in sections and one straight side at a time and just fold them over once, that's fine too. So we'll go till we get close to the edge. Fold this over twice. And now stitch all the way till we're down in the inside corner. Pivot the whole fabric. Oop, there we go. That's where I did my repair. Okay, now set up this other edge so the pocket is enclosed in this hem. Go down and up. And the only tricky bit is where all of this bulk happens. On this side, there's only one spot with bulk. But this side, you're going up the pocket. So it's not as likely for the flare, for the pocket to get just slip the top of the pocket. You don't want the top of the pocket slipping down. You want it to be caught fairly flat along the top of the pocket. Okay, that's it. Now, this side is done. Now, we're going to put on, now for the binding. Okay, now this is the side, this is the pocket down here, and this is the bottom of the armhole on the right side as I'm wearing my apron. And this is the final frontier, people. We almost have a full apron made. So this is the apron string that I've already sewn. And so I'll put that behind the machine. And where I stopped the stitching, I will slip this in. Okay, now it's fully caught there. And I'm going to pin it just because I want to set up the whole armhole. I'm going to use my clips here. I want to kind of get this curved around, and so that I set myself up for success. So a really good way to start it is to get in there and just put the first stitches in, and then you're started. Okay, now as you work your way around this curve, you want to make sure that the edge of the Dijon fabric is right up against the middle of, or the top of the first fold inside the bias tape. Okay, you with me? And this is only about 14 inches. So it's not that far to really just take your time and work your way up around this curve, catching setting the apron string over this armhole. I'm almost done. with one side. Then you're going to do the other side. Now the other side, we recommend a 20-inch string on the top side. And so you want to sew down an apron string 20 inches and then start your armhole from the top on the other side, just because that gives you then you can sew with the apron on the left side of your sewing machine, which is what you want to keep it flat and straight. Keep everything going. Okay, so then you just sew up this. I think this is actually longer than 20 inches. I chopped it off at some point, but I'll just sew it to the end. And then you do it on the other side, and then you are done. So I would love to know when you finish your apron. I'd love to see. Okay, happy sewing.